do me a favor when you jump in, let me know where you're coming from. Say hello. This was an unplanned live for me, but I did a little one this morning while I was on my run. And then I had some people say I was using the lives to get out of my run, which I guess could be seen that way. So, hey, I'm just wondering how hopefully you guys had a great weekend and all that. In this video, I actually want to talk about what is one of the #1 predictors of whether you're going to build wealth, whether you're going to build richness, whether you're going to have a wealthy life, and how to do that. And so do me a favor. If you're jumping in, just say hello. Let me know where you're coming from. I'm in my office here in Laguna Beach, California. So we have another beautiful day here. And this question came up about, so Mel, what are the things that really predict whether someone's going to build wealth or not? And there's actually a handful of things. And some of it is not what you think. But so I see some people jumping in. If you're jumping in and you happen to be in one of the Facebook groups, do me a favor. Make sure you put your name in the comments, just so I know every time you comment, because then I can call you by name. Otherwise, I got to call you by Facebook user, which we don't want to do. James George from Boston, welcome aboard, my friend. So good to see you again. So here's the deal. The idea of what are the predictors of building wealth? This question came up from someone in one of the posts, and I said, well, let's answer this, because a lot of times we think it's something different. Hi, Chris. It's so good to have you. We think it's our income. We just got to make a lot of money. Here's the interesting thing is that alone doesn't mean that we're going to have any kind of wealth. There's a difference between income and wealth. The idea is that, and I mentioned this in a prior video, this idea that we need to make sure that we are building and we're tracking our investable net worth. So there's 3 things that I think will really predict your ability to build wealth. But before we do that, here's why this is so important. Because if we don't get this right, if we don't really get this right, one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to find yourself struggling. You're going to be struggling. 78% of people today are living check to check. That's struggling. 78%, almost 80% of the people. That's crazy. So if we don't get this right, we don't start to put these things in place, and we're struggling to pay check to check, what else happens? Well, what happens to our stress levels? Our stress levels go way up. And when our stress levels go way up, what does that do? That impacts our relationships, it impacts our health, it impacts our quality of life, it impacts a lot of things. And so what ends up happening is that we end up struggling, we end up getting stressed, we end up feeling that we're not getting ahead. And we actually sometimes might be even going backwards if we're continually going into debt and we're living off of debt and that type of thing. So we need to understand that, because when we don't get this right, ultimately what's going to happen is that you're going to not have any peace of mind. And I truly believe that peace of mind is what people are looking for. It's not really the wealth we're looking for. It's what the wealth will give us. It's the peace of mind. It's the richness of life. It's the things that we get to do because of the things that we've done in the process. Now, when we do get this right, when you understand the predictors and you use a system and you use a process and you have the understanding of the principles and you know what you're doing and you have the guidance, all of a sudden things shift. You no longer are struggling because you have a plan to follow, and a plan that is a proven plan that, I just need to run the miles. I just need to show up to the gym and lift more and do more exercise, eat less, eat healthier, and I'll lose weight. Same thing with your wealth. We just have to have a proven, executable plan with the proper guidance, with the proper information, so you can go out and do it properly. So the struggle goes down when you get it right. Stress, because now you see the light at the end of the tunnel, stress goes down when you get it right. And ultimately, now you're getting ahead. You're keeping score. You're looking at your net worth. You're looking at your wealth, and it's growing up, not down or staying stagnant. And now what you're doing is you're giving yourself peace of mind. You're building that legacy to do that. So what are the 3 things? I'm going to jump to the iPad. We'll write some things down. There's a couple of things I want to touch on, including how much on average, should you be saving at a specific age, if you will, or how much should you have saved? So let's just jump to the iPad really quickly. See if this works. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Let's do this. I like crisscross lines just because it keeps me organized. If my wife heard that, she would say I'm not organized. So that's all right. So here's the deal. So one of the things that I think we need to look at is that there are three things that you need to manage to make sure that you're going to build wealth. Now, it's not just three things you manage. It's the three things that are the biggest predictors. And there's studies out there that have shown this. And the first is this, and this is the obvious one: income. But I'm going to change this slightly because it's about not just the gross income, because so many entrepreneurs, especially, they get caught up in, I got a big launch, or I've got revenues. This and that. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care whether you do $1 million launch, a $10 million launch, a $4 million launch, a $100,000 launch. What I care about is, what do you have at the end of the launch? What's in your pocket at the end of the launch? That's what matters. So, but one of the biggest predictors, and you'll see why it's important, is how much income are you generating? So one of the things we need to think about is, how do I scale my income? How do I scale my income? How do I generate more income? Okay, number two. The second thing is debt. What are we doing with debt? Now, here's the thing. I'm not one of those that says all debt is the devil, okay? I am going to say that there's two factors that every piece of debt has. One is that all debt costs. In other words, you're going to pay a price. That price is called interest. So if you think about the power of compounding, this is in reverse. It's the power of erosion. If you're paying interest to someone, you are making someone else wealthy. Now, that I just want you to understand that is that all debt costs. Now, the second characteristic that all debt has is that all debt stresses. What do I mean by that? It stresses you. It stresses your financial footing. It stresses all of that, because if there's a loss of a job, if there's a loss of a client, if there's a loss of something and you have debt, you don't have the ability and the flexibility to do things. So at some point in your life, at least the people that I work with and via the Affluence Blueprint and some of the mentoring that I do, at some point in their life, we actually have a plan to make sure they're 100% debt free. Now, I do categorize debt in two categories, because like I said, I don't believe that all debt is the devil, but there is some that is. All right. There is productive debt and there is destructive debt. Productive debt in my world, productive debt is that debt that is going to increase your cash flows, increase your net worth, and increase your wealth on an ongoing basis. What does that mean? That means that if I am going to run a launch and I'm going to put my Facebook ads on a credit card, I'm running up credit card debt, which I normally don't like, but that debt is going to have an ROI. It's going to have a return on investment. In other words, if I spend $1,000 on ads, but it returns $4,000 in sales, that's a 4x ROI, 4 times. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to continue to spend that $1,000 as long as I can get the $4,000 all day long. That's productive debt. But we need to manage it in a way that we don't get into a situation where we're rolling the debt over and we never get it paid down. What's destructive debt? Destructive debt is consumer debt. It's the stuff that you consume. It's the stuff that isn't going to increase your cash flow, increase your wealth, increase your net worth. It's the stuff that you're consuming. It's the luxury vehicles, possibly. It's the designer stuff, the technology, all of that stuff that you might be putting on a credit card, because what's happening, and this may hurt to hear it, but because what's happening is you're putting your lifestyle, the way your lifestyle looks from the outside, at a higher priority than where your wealth style looks from the inside. Okay. Now, I'm not saying not to get anything. I'm not saying that by any stretch. If you look around me, you know that I don't look at, I don't live a meager lifestyle. However, I live within my means. I live below my means, and I still have everything that we need and more and more. And we don't do it on debt. I don't use debt to create a facade of a lifestyle. So out there, people look in and say, "Oh, look at Mel. He's driving a nice car. He's living in a nice house. He's doing this. He's doing that." Nope, nope, nope. That's consumables. That's consumer debt. That's destructive debt. So, two things: income, debt. But the next one is actually one of the most important ones, okay? The next one, number 3 on this list, is your savings rate. And I don't mean interest rate. I mean how much do you save from your income each and every day, week, month, year? Okay, huge, 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 huge. Because the question is, how much of a percentage are you saving on an ongoing basis? Those, and this may seem obvious and this may seem common sense, but here's the interesting thing. If you look at the data, if you look at the statistics, although it's common sense, it's not common practice. So I'm going to remind you, I'm going to push you, I'm going to urge you, I'm going to cajole you, I'm going to play with you, I'm going to keep doing it, because here's my job. My job is to help you build your wealth. My job is to help you find that financial liberation. My job is to give you that financial future that you actually dreamed about. And some of that might mean that I'm going to push you a little bit. I might even irritate you a little bit. That's okay. This is coming from a loving place. Here's the deal. How much you save each and every month matters. Now, if your income, as a percentage of your income, if your income goes up, the percentage, the dollar amount goes up because you're saving that percentage on a higher base. That's why we want to always scale income. But there's a lot of people that are living check to check, 78%, check to check. So their savings rate is 0. You can't build wealth because with a savings rate of 0, you can't do it, because what's going to end up happening is that you're never going to build a net worth, which means you're never investing. You're never putting it into other investments. So you're not diversifying. You're not doing any of the things that the wealthy people are doing to make that happen. We need to shift that. We need to change it. What we need to do is look at how do we build. If we can manage the debt and we can manage the income, which means we need to manage a little bit of the outgo, the expenses, then we need to manage how much we save each and every month. Here's what I'm going to look at. How much do we save? And I get this all. How much of my paycheck, how much of my income should I save each and every month? Here's what it is. Okay, let me give you some. There's 3 ways you can figure that out. 3 ways you can figure out how much to save. Okay. Okay. The first way is kind of a traditional kind of approach, and that's literally, I want you to save 15 to 20, to 20% of your income. 15 to 20% income. That's way number 1. So if you just start and say, I'm going to put 15, 20% away of my income on a regular basis, that's going to help. If you're in a business, or you have a business, or you're in a company, like my wife's in a company, she's got a 401k. She's got a 401k where they match, and they also have the ability to buy into the company at discounted rates, all of that. So I want you to if you have debt, well, we can talk about it differently, but at some point I want you to start getting involved with your investments. Start putting stuff away on a regular basis. I want to get it pushed up to 15, 20% at a minimum to do that, because imagine this. If you start to put 15 to 20% of your income away on a regular basis, what that accumulates to over years. Remember, $200 a month over 30 years turns into over $300,000. $200 isn't that hard to do in many cases, if we scale our income, we manage our expenses, we manage our debt, and we do things the right way. So the first way that you could decide how much you're going to invest is simply a percentage, 15 to 20%. The second way is actually to look at it and say, what is the maximum that I can invest? In other words, taking a look at my income and saying, here's my outgo. If my income is $5,000 a month and I have $4,000 a month in expenses for housing, transportation, and clothing and food and all of the stuff, and there's $1,000 left over, you max it out, and $1,000 goes into a savings account, $1,000 goes into investments and all that. Now I'm going to ask you and invite you to make sure you have enough cash set aside so you have the liquidity should there be a downturn, an issue, or a problem, because we want to have what they call an emergency fund. I call it a peace of mind fund in place to do that. But you can max it out. That's the second way to do it. Then the third way to decide how much you're going to pay, and this is what I try to do with most of the people that I work with, and that is to engineer it. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is this, is that we figure out what we need at the time we need it, and we reverse engineer it. So what we've done, and what I did in my life, and what I've done with some of my clients and the people that I've worked with in Affluence Blueprint, is we create this thing called an Affluence Vision. We figure out what that lifestyle is that we're going to try and build, that we want, that we desire. And from that lifestyle, we then determine what is the price tag of that lifestyle. What's it going to cost me on a regular basis? Not what am I earning today, not what it's costing me today, but what is that lifestyle of the future that we want going to cost? And then we figure out, based on that price tag, a plan to get there. And that sets our savings rate. Because now you might look at it and go, I don't need to save 15, 20%. I need to save 10%. I need to save 5% because I have assets. I have things already. Or you might look at it and go, oh crap, I got to save 30 or 35%. But isn't it better that you know? So I think that to me, it's a little more complicated process to reverse engineer it, but I think it's a more accurate process. Plus, you understand it, you define it, you look at it regularly. So 3 things that are the highest predictors of being wealthy. 1, how you deal with your income, scaling your income, generating income, okay? 2 is what you do with debt. Now you handle debt, productive debt versus destructive debt. How much debt do you have? And 3, your savings rate. 3, your savings rate. Now we talked about the savings rate also and said that there's 3 ways that we can determine what's the proper amount to save. And the first is 15 to 20%. It's just a general kind of standard. But that changes based on what you have, and it changes based on where you are in life, the stage and age you are in life. And then the second way is to max it. Just take everything else that you got and start putting in investments. I did this for a long time, where I was making money. And when I was making money, once my bills and everything were paid, I maxed everything into investments and just put it out there and made sure that I was not taking on debt. And then the third way we said was to reverse engineer it, to understand the price tag on the lifestyle you want and build to that. Okay. So then some people ask, this leads me to this last piece on this. How much should I have saved at what age? All right. So I'm going to just run through. These are just general terms because it depends on, you might have 1 kid, no kids, 10 kids. You might be single. You might have a bunch of wealth. So it just depends. Okay. But this is a general formula and a general rule of thumb. So we're going to go deeper in some of the principles of wealth building and all that. Actually, this Thursday, I'm doing a live training event. It's going to be about 90 minutes with me. Going to go through the 5 wealth principles for today's entrepreneur. We're going to talk about what the affluent entrepreneurs are doing to build their wealth and get lasting freedom. So join me. If you want to join me, go to melabraham.com/workshop. melabraham.com/workshop. Grab a spot before they're all gone. It's free. I'll go through the 5 principles. I'm going to talk more about the Affluence Blueprint. We'll talk about next steps, how I can help you and that type of thing, and do that. So how much should you have saved based on age? Well, let me give you some formulas, okay? that I think will bring this home. And like I said, these are general formulas. They're just rules of thumb. But if I look at this, and I'm going to look at age and savings. And I'm going to look at age 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. Okay. So how much should you have saved at each of those stages of life? Okay. Typically, and like I said, this changes, but this is just a general rule of thumb. I want you to have 1 times your income here. Okay, this is all multiples of income, So I want you to have 1 times your income at age 30. So if you're making $30,000 a year at age 30, I want you to have $30,000 saved at age 30. Now, when we get to 40, we want to 3x it. So hopefully you're making more at 40 than you are at 30. So instead of 30,000, say you're making 50,000, I want to have 150,000 saved, 3 times the 50,000 minimum saved at age 40. I'd love to have more, but age 50, 5x. Okay, 5x. So as we start to move up this in age, we need to increase the number of the multiple because we need more saved. So I want 5x of my income at age 50. I want 7x at age 60. I want 9x at age 70, and I want 11x at age 80. This is just general guideline. I actually think it's the minimum guideline, general minimum guideline. Now, so if you look at it and you say, I'm retiring at 60 years old and you're making $200,000, guess what? You need 7 times that in savings to last the rest of your life, to build an effective retirement. 7 times 200,000 is $1.4 million. So we need to do some work here. We need to make it happen. But at least this will give you a way to measure it, a way to look at it and say, do I have enough in play? Do I have something that makes sense? Okay. So hopefully this helps. This is a great question that came up, and I just wanted to jump in here and answer the question. Do me a favor. Keep the questions coming. I want to help you. I want to help you through this. I want to answer your questions. They may be business related, money related, investment related, although I can't give specific investment advice, tax related, those kinds of things. Let me help you on this financial journey, the idea of building your financial liberation to create an affluent lifestyle for you. So, and then just remember that this Thursday, so it's like 2 days from now, join me if you want. I'm doing a live virtual event training, 9 a.m. California time this Thursday on the 5 wealth principles for today's entrepreneur and what the affluent entrepreneurs are doing to create lasting freedom. All right. So go to melabraham.com/workshop, grab your spot, and I'll see you Thursday, 9 a.m. There's a workbook and all that stuff. We're going to do some things. I'm going to actually take you through the framework of the Affluence Blueprint. We're going to talk about all that stuff and help you out. All right. So register, and I'll see you on Thursday. I'll probably see you tomorrow because I'm going to probably come on here live tomorrow. If you have some questions you want me to answer tomorrow, post them. Send me a DM. Reach out to me somehow, and let's keep it going. Let's make the next 12 months a breakthrough 12 months for you financially. You, your family, your legacy, your loved ones, the people you care about, the people you love. Let's make a difference in their life because it's time and it's your birthright. So let's make it happen. Blessings to you all. You have an incredible, incredible day. And I'm going to get ready for Thursday. We'll talk soon. Cheers.